The morning started like any other Tuesday for Jake Sullivan. He sat in his chair at the Earth Defense Station, drinking coffee and reading reports. The coffee was terrible, but it kept him awake during the long night shifts. Jake had been watching the stars for 15 years, and nothing exciting ever happened. That changed at exactly 8 in the morning, as the computer started beeping loudly. Red lights flashed across his control panel. Jake put down his coffee cup and looked at the main screen. Something big was coming out of space, moving toward Earth. What the hell? Jake said to himself. He pressed buttons to get a better look. The object was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It looked like a giant crystal, but it was clearly a spaceship. A very big spaceship. Jake reached for his phone and called his boss, General Rick Hayes. "Sir, we have a problem." "A big problem? What kind of problem, Sullivan?" the general asked. He sounded tired. "The kind that might end the world, sir. You need to get down here right now." 20 minutes later, General Hayes stood next to Jake, staring at the screen. The alien ship had stopped moving. It was just sitting in space above Earth, like it owned the place. "How big is that thing?" Hayes asked. "About the size of a small moon, sir," Jake replied. "And it's definitely not from around here." Other people started arriving at the station. Admiral Kate Morrison came from the Navy base. Dr. Amy Rodriguez drove in from the university. Director Alex Turr flew in from Washington. Soon, the small control room was full of important people, all staring at the same screen. The alien ship just sat there for 2 hours. It didn't move. It didn't send any messages. It just waited. Then, at 10 o'clock, everything changed. Jake's computer started making different sounds. "Sir, I'm getting a transmission. They're trying to talk to us." "Put it on the main speaker," General Hayes ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was strange. It didn't sound human at all. The words were clear, but they felt cold and empty. "People of Earth," the voice said, "this is Admiral Kexthara of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our domain. You will surrender your planet immediately. You have 72 hours to comply. Resistance is futile. Submit or face complete destruction." The room went silent. Everyone stared at each other. Dr. Rodriguez was the first to speak. "Did they just tell us to surrender our entire planet?" she asked. "That's exactly what they did," Admiral Morrison replied. Her face was hard as stone. General Hayes picked up the secure phone and called the president. "Ma'am, we need an emergency meeting, right now. We have visitors, and they're not friendly." 2 hours later, President Lisa Carter sat in the Situation Room deep under the White House. The same group was there, plus a few more important people. Everyone looked worried. "Tell me everything," the president said. General Hayes explained about the alien ship and the message. President Carter listened without saying a word. When he finished, she was quiet for a long moment. "What do we know about these Zephyrians?" she asked. Dr. Rodriguez opened her laptop. "I've been researching since we got the message. It's not good news. They've conquered 47 different worlds in the last 100 years. Every single one? How do they do it?" Director Turner asked. "They demand surrender first. If the planet says no, they destroy it completely. Not just the governments or the armies. Everything. Every city, every person, every animal. They turn entire worlds into empty rocks." Admiral Morrison leaned forward. "What about their military strength?" "Based on energy readings from their ship, they could destroy every major city on Earth in about an hour," Dr. Rodriguez said. "Maybe less." The room got very quiet again. President Carter looked around the table at each person. "Options?" she asked. "We could surrender, Director Turner suggested. Maybe they'll let some of us live. Based on their history, probably not, Dr. Rodriguez said. The planets that surrendered still got destroyed. The Empire doesn't like leaving loose ends. We could try to negotiate, Admiral Morrison suggested. Their message didn't sound like they want to talk. General Hayes replied. We could fight, Captain Danny Collins said. He had been quiet until now. Collins commanded the UESIS Defiant, Earth's newest and strongest warship. Everyone looked at him. Dr. Rodriguez shook her head. Danny, their ship is 50 times bigger than anything we have. Our weapons probably can't even scratch it. Maybe, Collins said, but we've never tried. President Carter stood up and walked to the window. Even though they were underground, there was a big screen showing the view outside. She could see the alien ship hanging in the sky like a dark cloud. They destroyed 47 worlds, she said without turning around. Billions of people, men, women, children, all dead because they wanted to rule everything. She turned back to face the group. I won't let that happen to Earth. I won't let humanity end on its knees, begging for mercy from killers. Ma'am, Director Turner said carefully, we need to think about this logically. Fighting them is suicide. Maybe, the President replied, but surrendering is definitely death. At least if we fight, we go down as humans, not as slaves. General. Hayes nodded. What are your orders, ma'am? President Carter walked back to her chair, but didn't sit down. We're going to send them a message back, and we're going to make it clear. She looked around the room one more time. Dr. Rodriguez, I want you to learn everything you can about their ship and their technology. Find weaknesses. Find anything we can use. Admiral Morrison, get every ship we have ready for battle. I don't care if it's just a space tug. If it can fly and carry a weapon, I want it armed and ready. General Hayes, prepare all ground defenses. If they make it past our ships, make them pay for every inch of Earth. Captain Collins, you're going to deliver our message personally. Collins straightened up. What message, ma'am? President Carter smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that said someone was about to make a very big mistake. We're going to tell them exactly what we think of their ultimatum, and we're going to make sure they understand that humans don't kneel to anyone. The meeting ended. 30 minutes later. Everyone had jobs to do, and not much time to do them. As they left the room, Dr. Rodriguez caught up with Captain Collins. Danny, are you really going to fly up there and talk to that monster? She asked. Collins looked up at a screen showing the alien ship. Amy, that thing might be bigger than anything we've ever seen, but the people inside, it made one big mistake. What's that? They picked a fight with humans. And humans don't give up. Dr. Rodriguez watched him walk away. She hoped he was right, because in 66 hours, they would all find out if humanity was as tough as they thought they were. The alien ship continued to wait in orbit, silent, patient, confident. It had no idea what was coming. Captain Danny Collins sat in the pilot seat of the UES Defiant, Earth's most advanced warship. It didn't feel very advanced compared to the massive alien vessel hanging in space ahead of him. The Zephyrian ship looked like a mountain made of dark crystal, with weapons pointed in every direction. Defiant to Earth control, Collins spoke into his radio. I'm in position, ready to transmit the message. Copy that, Defiant, came Jake Sullivan's voice from the control center. President, Carter is standing by. You are cleared to broadcast on all frequencies. Collins took a deep breath. Behind him, his crew of 12 waited quietly. They all knew this might be the last message anyone on Earth ever sent. This is Captain Danny Collins of the United Earthship Defiant, speaking for the people of Earth and President Lisa Carter, he began. His voice was steady and clear. We received your ultimatum. Here is our response. On the alien ship, Admiral Kexthara stood on the bridge, watching the small human vessel. The Admiral's body was tall and thin, made of the same crystal-like material. As the ship, Kexthara had conquered worlds for 80 years, and had never seen such a tiny ship dare to approach. "Admiral," said Commander Velmoth, "the humans are transmitting a response." "Put it on the speakers," Kexthara ordered. "Let us hear what these primitive beings have to say." Collins continued his message, and his words echoed through both ships. "This is Earth. We heard what you want. You want us to surrender our world, our freedom, and our lives to your empire. You want us to kneel down and let you decide who lives and who dies." Collins paused for a moment, looking at the alien ship through his front window. "Here is our answer. No, we will not surrender. We will not kneel. We will not beg for mercy from murderers who have destroyed 47 worlds." On the alien bridge, Commander Velmoth looked confused. "Admiral, are they refusing our terms?" Admiral Kexthara's crystal face showed what might have been surprise. In 80 years of conquest, no species had ever simply said no to the Empire. Collins kept talking, his voice getting stronger. "You gave us 72 hours to surrender. We don't need 72 hours. We don't need 72 minutes. Our answer is no, and it will always be no. But we're not completely unreasonable," Collins continued. "We're going to give you something your empire has never given to anyone else. We're going to give you a choice." Admiral Kexthara leaned forward, interested despite himself. Leave our solar system right now. Turn your ship around and go back where you came from. Forget you ever found Earth. Find some other part of the galaxy to bother." Collins paused again, letting his words sink in. "This is your warning. Your only warning. We are not like the other worlds you've conquered. We are human, and humans fight back." The message continued broadcasting to every corner of the solar system. On Mars base, Colonel Matt Johnson listened with his soldiers. On Luna Station, Commander Ben Crawford and his crew heard every word. On the research stations around Jupiter, scientists stopped their work to listen. "You have destroyed 47 worlds," Collins said. "You have killed billions of innocent people. You think this makes you strong. You think this makes you feared. You're wrong. It just makes you bullies." Back on Earth, President Carter listened from the Situation Room. General Hayes, Admiral Morrison, Dr. Rodriguez, and Director Turner all watched the screens showing both ships. "Earth has one thing your empire doesn't have," Collins broadcast. "We have something worth fighting for. We have freedom. We have families. We have hope. And we have each other." Admiral Kexthara turned to Commander Velmoth. "Scan their ship. Show me their weapons." The scans came back quickly. "Admiral, their vessel carries 12 fusion missiles and 2 energy cannons. Our shields could stop their entire arsenal without damage. What about their planetary defenses? Primitive nuclear weapons, some orbital platforms, and a small fleet of similar vessels. Nothing that could threaten us." Admiral Kexthara looked back at the human ship. Such a small vessel, carrying such weak weapons, and yet they dared to threaten the mighty Zephyrian Empire. Collins was finishing his message. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave our system. You're going to leave right now. You're going to go tell your empire that Earth is off limits. Tell them that humans don't surrender, and humans don't forget." He paused one last time. "This is your one warning. We won't give you another one. We won't ask nicely again. We won't send polite messages or try to negotiate. If you're still here in 1 hour, we will consider that an act of war, and we will respond accordingly." Earth out. The transmission ended. Space became quiet again. On the alien bridge, Commander Velmoth stared at Admiral Kexthara. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Kexthara was quiet for a long moment. In 80 years, no one had ever spoken to the Empire like that. No one had ever given them a warning. No one had ever told them to leave. "They're insane," Velmoth said. "Their ship couldn't damage our hull. Their entire planet couldn't stop. U.S. And they're giving us warnings?" Admiral Kexthara looked at the small human ship still floating nearby. "Run a full scan of their solar system. I want to know everything about these humans." The scans took 30 minutes. When they were done, Commander Velmoth looked even more confused. "Admiral, they're telling the truth about their weapons. They're completely outmatched. They have no secret fleets, no hidden bases, no super weapons. They know they can't win, and they're still threatening us." "Interesting," Kexthara said quietly. "Sir, in 80 years of conquest, we've seen 3 types of species. Most surrender immediately when they see our ships. A few try to negotiate, offering us resources or territory in exchange for their lives. And some try to fight, but only after they think they have a chance to win." Admiral Kexthara walked to the front of the bridge, looking down at Earth. "These humans are different. They know they can't win, but they're not surrendering. They're not trying to negotiate. They're not running away. They're standing in front of the most powerful fleet in the galaxy and telling us to leave. What should we do, Admiral?" Kexthara thought about the 47 worlds the Empire had conquered. Most had begged for mercy. Many had offered to serve as slaves. A few had tried to hide. All had eventually been destroyed. "They said we have 1 hour," the Admiral said finally. "Are we leaving, sir?" Admiral Kexthara's crystal face hardened. "Commander, in 80 years, the Zephyrian Empire has never retreated from a battle. We have never accepted ultimatums from inferior species. We have never allowed primitive beings to dictate terms to us." "Of course not, Admiral. Prepare the primary weapons. Target their major population centers. We'll show these humans what happens when someone threatens the Empire." Commander Velmoth smiled. "Yes, sir. How long should we give them to reconsider?" "They said 1 hour. We'll give them exactly 1 hour. Then we'll show them why 47 worlds chose to surrender rather than fight." Back on the Defiant, Captain Collins watched the alien ship through his front window. It hadn't moved since his message ended. It just sat there, dark and threatening against the stars. "Captain," his radio operator called, "Earth Control is asking for a status report." Collins picked up his radio. "Earth Control, this is Defiant. Message delivered. The ball is in their court now. Copy that, Defiant. What's your assessment?" Collins looked at the massive alien ship one more time. "They're not leaving, Jake. I don't think they're going to leave." "Understood. Return to base, Danny. If they want to fight, we'll give them one." Collins started the engines and turned his ship toward Earth. As he flew away, he could see the alien vessel beginning to glow with energy. Weapons were powering up. "This is Collins to all Earth forces," he broadcast. 1 hour is almost up. They're not leaving. All units, prepare for battle. The hour was almost over. Earth had given its warning. The aliens had heard it. Now everyone would find out what humans really meant when they said just one warning. The hour was up. Admiral Kexthara stood on the bridge of the Dominion's edge, watching Earth turn slowly below. The planet looked peaceful and quiet, like all the others before it. Soon it would be silent forever. Commander Velmoth, the Admiral, called, "Begin the bombardment. Target their largest cities first. We'll give them a demonstration of Imperial power." "Yes, Admiral. Weapons are charged and ready." The massive alien ship's hull began to glow with deadly energy. Weapon ports opened along its sides, revealing cannons that could turn mountains into dust. The ship had destroyed 47 worlds. With these weapons, an Earth would be number 48, but something was wrong. "Admiral," the weapons officer called out, "I'm detecting multiple energy signatures approaching from the planet." Kexthara looked at the tactical display. Small dots were rising from Earth's surface and moving toward the Imperial ship. Lots of small dots. What are those? Unknown vessels, sir. They appear to be military craft, but they're very small. Captain Nina Davis piloted her fighter craft toward the alien ship, leading a squadron of 12 pilots. Her small fighter looked like a toy compared to the massive enemy vessel, but she didn't care. Earth was her home, and no one was going to destroy it without a fight. "This is Davis to all fighter squadrons," she called over the radio. "Remember, we're not trying to win. We're trying to buy time for the big guns to get in position. Hit them fast, hit them hard, and don't let them target the cities." "Copy that, Captain," came the reply from Lieutenant Ryan Foster. "Squadron 2 is ready." "Squadron 3 standing by," added Commander Tony Mitchell. Nina looked at her display. The alien ship was so big it filled her entire screen. She could see weapon ports opening all along its hull, getting ready to fire on Earth's cities. "All squadrons, attack now," she ordered. The human fighters swung toward the Imperial ship like angry bees. Their small weapons began firing at the massive hull, sending bright flashes of light across the crystal surface. On the alien bridge, Commander Velmuth looked confused. "Admiral, these attacks are having no effect on our shields. Why are they continuing?" Admiral Kexthara watched the small human ships darting around his vessel. Their weapons couldn't even scratch the paint, but they kept attacking anyway. "Fire point defense weapons," the Admiral ordered. "Swat these insects." The alien ship's smaller weapons began firing at the human fighters. Bright beams of energy lanced out, trying to hit the fast-moving targets. But the human pilots were good at their jobs, and they knew their lives didn't matter as much as protecting Earth. "This is Foster," came Ryan's voice over the radio. "I'm hit, but still flying. Continuing attack run." "Mitchell here," Tony called. "I'm going for their weapon ports. If I can jam one of them, maybe I can slow them down." Nina watched Tony's fighter dive straight toward the alien ship's main gun. "Tony, that's suicide." "Maybe," Tony replied. "But my kids are down there." His small fighter disappeared into the alien weapon port. A few seconds later, there was a bright explosion from inside the Imperial ship. "Target destroyed," Tony's voice came weakly over the radio. "Tell my family I love them." The radio went quiet. Admiral Kexthara felt his ship shake slightly. One of the main guns was damaged. He looked at the tactical display in shock. The tiny human fighter had actually hurt his ship. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Sir, their pilot flew directly into the weapon port and detonated his craft's power core. The explosion damaged the firing mechanism." Kexthara stared at the display. "He killed himself to damage one gun?" "Yes, sir." The Admiral had seen many battles, but he had never seen anything like this. The human pilots were throwing their lives away for tiny amounts of damage, but they kept coming, while the fighters kept the alien ship busy. Bigger ships were moving into position. Admiral Kate Morrison commanded the UES Retribution, Earth's largest warship. It was still much smaller than the alien vessel, but it carried the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. "This is Morrison to all fleet units," the Admiral called. "The fighters have given us our chance. All ships, target the damaged section of the enemy vessel. Fire everything we have." Captain Pete Washington commanded the UE's Vengeance, flanking the alien ship from the left. "Vengeance is in position, Admiral. Weapons locked and ready." "UE's Defiant in position," came Captain Collins' voice. "Ready to fire." Captain Sandy Brooks commanding the U.S. Justice, reported from the right flank. "All weapons charged, Admiral." "Just give the word." Admiral Morrison looked at the massive alien ship. Even with all their weapons combined, they probably couldn't destroy it. But maybe they could hurt it enough to make it think twice. All ships fire. The human fleet opened fire at the same time. Missiles streaked through space, followed by energy beams and plasma bolts. All of their weapons hit the alien ship in the same spot where Tony Mitchell had damaged the main gun. The Imperial ship shook violently. Warning lights began flashing on the bridge. "Damage report," Admiral Kexthara ordered. "Hull breach on Deck 7, Commander Velmoth reported. "Minor. Damage to the secondary power grid. The humans are concentrating their fire on the damaged section." "How much damage?" "Less than 1% of our total combat capability, sir." Admiral Kexthara looked at the human ships attacking his vessel. Their weapons were primitive and weak, but they were using them with skill and courage. More importantly, they were learning. "Sir," the weapons officer called, "the human fighters are changing their tactics. They're not trying to damage us anymore. They're trying to jam our targeting systems." Nina Davis led her remaining fighters in a new attack pattern. Instead of firing at the hull, they were flying close to the alien ship's sensors and firing chaff and electronic countermeasures. "All fighters, stay close to their hull," she ordered. "Make it hard for them to target our big ships." The tactic was working. The alien ship's massive weapons were designed to destroy large targets at long range, but the human fighters were too close and too small for the big guns to track effectively. Colonel Matt Johnson watched the battle from Luna Base, Earth's moon. He commanded the orbital defense platforms that protected Earth's major cities. "Luna Base to all platforms," he called. "The fleet is keeping them busy, but they're going to break through eventually. All defensive batteries, prepare to fire." Lieutenant Ben Crawford, his second in command, looked worried. "Sir, our weapons won't even scratch that thing." "Maybe not," Johnson replied, "but we're going to make them work for every inch. If they want to destroy Earth, they're going to have to go through us first." The battle raged for 2 hours. The human fleet threw everything they had at the alien ship, causing minor damage but nothing critical. The Imperial vessel's weapons were slowly picking off the human fighters and ships, but the humans kept fighting. Admiral Kexthara was growing frustrated. His ship could destroy the entire human fleet in minutes if he used his planet-killing weapons, but those weapons would also damage Earth, and the Empire wanted the planet intact for colonization. "Sir," Commander Velmoth reported, "we've destroyed 12 of their small craft and damaged 3 of their larger vessels, but they're not retreating." "Why not?" the Admiral asked. "They must know they can't win." "I don't know, sir. They just keep fighting." On Earth, President Carter watched the battle from the Situation Room. The screen showed her forces being slowly beaten back, but they were making the aliens pay for every victory. "How long can our fleet hold out?" she asked General Hayes. "Maybe." "Another hour, ma'am. 2 at the most." Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her computer. "I've been analyzing the battle data. The alien ship is strong, but it's not invincible. If we had more time, maybe we could find a real weakness." "We don't have more time," Admiral Morrison's voice came over the radio. "They're breaking through our lines. All remaining ships fall. Back to Earth orbit." The human fleet retreated toward Earth, still fighting. They had lost half their ships, but they had proven something important. The mighty Zephyrian Empire could be hurt. Admiral Kexthara looked at his damage reports. The humans had caused more damage than any other species in the Empire's history, even though their weapons were primitive. "Interesting," he said quietly. "Sir?" Commander Velmoth asked. "Prepare to target their planetary defenses. If they want to fight, We'll give them a real war. The alien ship moved closer to Earth, its weapons charging for another attack. But something had changed during the battle. The humans had proven they wouldn't surrender, and they had shown they could learn and adapt. Most importantly, they had shown they were willing to die for their freedom. The battle for Earth was just beginning. The news of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On the planet Altair 7, a worker named Zephon stopped his mining duties when he heard the impossible report. The humans had fought back against the Empire. Not only fought back, but actually damaged an Imperial warship. Did you hear? Zephon whispered to his friend Korax. The new species called humans gave the Empire a warning. Just one warning. When the Empire ignored it, the humans attacked. Korax looked around nervously. Talking about resistance was dangerous, even for slaves. You're lying. No one fights the Empire in loves. I'm not lying, Zephon insisted. My cousin works on the communication relay station. He intercepted the battle reports. The humans destroyed one of the Empire's main weapons and damaged their flagship. Similar conversations were happening on 47 different worlds. The enslaved peoples of the galaxy were hearing about Earth for the first time. And with the news came something they hadn't felt in decades. Hope on Earth. President Carter stood in the rebuilt command center. The first battle had ended 6 hours ago, but everyone knew it wasn't over. The alien ship had pulled back to repair damage, but it was still in Earth's solar system. Status report, she asked General Hayes. We lost 18 fighters and 4 major ships, Hayes replied. The alien vessel suffered minor damage, but nothing critical. They'll be back. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her analysis station. I've been studying their technology from the battle recordings. Their shields are strong, but they have limits. And their weapons are designed for fighting large targets, not small ones. What does that mean? Admiral Morrison asked. She had transferred her command to the orbital station after her ship was damaged. It means they're built to fight the kind of battles they're used to. Big fleets attacking each other across long distances. They're not ready for the kind of fighting we just showed them. Director Turner frowned. But we can't win a straight fight. They're too strong. Maybe we can't win, President Carter said, but we can make them regret coming here. Captain Collins, whose ship had survived the battle, looked at the tactical displays. Ma'am, there's something else. During the fight, I noticed they were holding back. They have weapons that could destroy entire cities, but they didn't use them. Why not? Admiral Morrison asked. Dr. Rodriguez had an idea. Maybe they want to keep Earth intact. The Empire conquers worlds to use them, not to destroy them. If they turn Earth into a dead rock, it's no good to them. President Carter smiled grimly. So they need us alive, but we don't need them at all. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, Admiral Kexthara studied the battle reports in his private chambers. The humans had caused more damage than any species in Imperial history. Despite having primitive technology, Commander Velmoth entered the room. Admiral, the repairs are complete. We're ready to resume the attack. Sit down, Commander, Kexthara said quietly. We need to discuss what happened. Velmoth sat, looking confused. Sir, we won the battle. The human fleet is scattered, and their defenses are weak. Did we win? The Admiral asked. We lost a main weapon. We suffered hull damage. We had to retreat to make repairs. When was the last time an Imperial ship had to retreat from anything? Velmoth thought about it. Never, sir. At least, not in my lifetime. Exactly. And do you know what the humans did while we were retreating? No, sir. Admiral Kexthara turned on a screen showing Earth. They didn't celebrate. They didn't surrender. They used the time to rebuild their defenses and prepare for the next attack. Look at this. The screen showed new defensive positions around Earth. The humans had moved their remaining ships into better positions and built new weapon platforms. "Sir, those defenses won't stop us," Velmoth said. "That's not the point, Commander. The point is that they're not giving up. We just proved we're stronger than them, and they're still preparing to fight." Kexthara walked to the window, looking out at the stars. "In 80 years of conquest, I've seen fear, desperation, and hopelessness. But I've never seen what I saw today." "What did you see, Admiral?" "Determination. Pure, stubborn, unreasonable determination. They know they can't win, but they don't care. They're going to fight anyway." Commander Velmoth stood up. "Admiral, with respect, it doesn't matter how determined they are. We have the stronger fleet. We can destroy them. Can we?" Kexthara asked. "Yes, we can destroy their ships and their cities. But can we destroy their spirit? Can we make them into obedient slaves like all the others?" Before Velmoth could answer, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. "Admiral, to the bridge," came the urgent call. "We have multiple contacts approaching." Kexthara and Velmoth rushed to the bridge. The tactical display showed dozens of new ships moving toward the Imperial vessel. "Where did they come from?" the Admiral demanded. "Unknown, sir," the sensor operator reported. "They just appeared on our screens." Admiral Morrison's voice came over the communication system. "Imperial vessel, this is Admiral Kate Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. You ignored our warning. You attacked our people. Now you face the consequences." Kexthara looked at the display more carefully. The new ships were different from the ones in the first battle. These were larger, more heavily armed, and they moved with military precision. "Commander, I thought you said the humans only had a small fleet," he said. "That's what our scans showed, sir. These ships weren't there before." Dr. Rodriguez's voice joined the transmission. "Imperial Forces, this is Dr. Amy Rodriguez of Earth. Science Command. You've been analyzing our technology, but you missed something important. Humans are very good at learning from our mistakes." The new human ships began to spread out, surrounding the Imperial vessel. Their formation was perfect, with each ship covering the other's weak points. "Sir," the weapons officer called, "these ships are different from the ones we fought before. Their hulls are reinforced, and their weapons are more powerful." Captain Collins' voice came over the radio. "Admiral Kexthara, my name is Danny Collins. I'm the one who delivered our warning. You didn't listen. Now you get to see what happens when humans have time to prepare." The Imperial Admiral looked at the human fleet with new respect. In just 6 hours, they had rebuilt their forces and improved their technology. "How is this possible?" Velmoth asked. "Sir," the communications officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from the Altair system." "Put it through," Kexthara ordered. The voice that came through was not human. It was Altarian, one of the Empire's slave species. "This is Zephan of Altair 7, the voice said. "We heard about the humans who gave the Empire one warning. We want you to know that we're listening. We're all listening." More transmissions began, coming in from across the galaxy. Centaurans, Andromedans, Keplerians, and dozens of other species were all sending the same message. They had heard about Earth's resistance. President Carter's voice cut through the alien chatter. "Admiral Kexthara, you came to Earth expecting easy conquest. You thought we would surrender like all the others. You were wrong. The human fleet continued to tighten its formation around the Imperial ship. You've spent 80 years convincing the galaxy that resistance is hopeless," Carter continued. "Today, we're going to prove you wrong. Today, the galaxy is going to see that the mighty Zephyrian Empire can be beaten." Admiral Kexthara realized that something fundamental had changed. This wasn't just about conquering one more world. The humans had turned their battle into a symbol of resistance for the entire galaxy. "All weapons, prepare to fire," Admiral Morrison ordered. "But remember, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for every world the Empire has." Enslaved. The human ships powered up their weapons, but they didn't fire immediately. They waited, letting the tension build. "Admiral Kexthara," President Carter's voice came again, "we're going to give you one more chance. The same chance we gave you before. Leave our system. Leave now and never come back." "And if we refuse?" the Admiral asked. "Then you'll discover why humans only give one warning," Carter replied. "But this time you won't be the only ones watching." Kexthara looked at the tactical display. His ship was still stronger than the entire human fleet, but something had changed. The galaxy was watching. Every slave world, every conquered species, every oppressed people was waiting to see what happened next. "Sir," Commander Velmoth said quietly, "we could still destroy them all." "Yes," the Admiral replied. "But then what? Do we destroy every world that refuses to surrender? Do we turn the entire galaxy into a graveyard? If necessary, sir?" Admiral Kexthara was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the 47 worlds the Empire had conquered. He thought about the billions of people who had died. He thought about the fear that had kept the galaxy under Imperial control. And he thought about the humans who had looked at the most powerful fleet in the galaxy and said, "No, leave." "Communications," he ordered. "Send a message to Imperial. Command, tell them we need reinforcements." "Sir?" Velmith looked surprised. "These humans are different, Commander. They're not going to surrender, and they're not going to run. If we want to conquer Earth, we're going to need more ships." The communications officer sent the message to the Imperial home world. The reply came back quickly. "Admiral," the officer reported, "Imperial Command is sending the Third Fleet. 50 ships, led by Fleet Admiral Dex Kalar. Admiral Kex the." 3 days passed quickly. Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system with 50 Imperial warships. The fleet was massive, stretching across space like a dark cloud of death. Each ship was the size of a city, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. "Admiral Kexthara," Vex Kalar's voice came over the communications system report. Admiral Kexthara stood on the bridge of his damaged ship, looking at the fleet that had come to help him. "Fleet Admiral, the humans refused our terms and attacked. They caused significant damage before we withdrew." "Humans damaged an Imperial ship?" Vex Kalar sounded surprised. "Yes, sir. They're different from other species we've conquered. They don't surrender, and they don't run away." Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar looked at the tactical display showing Earth. The small blue planet looked peaceful and quiet, just like all the others the Empire had conquered. One planet, Kexthara. One small planet with primitive technology. And you needed 50 ships to conquer it? "Sir, I recommend caution. The humans are dangerous." "Dangerous?" Vex Kalar laughed. "They're insects. We'll crush them in one attack and be done with this embarrassment." But when the Imperial fleet moved toward Earth, they found something unexpected. The solar system was no longer empty. Ships were everywhere, coming from dozens of different worlds. "Fleet Admiral," the sensor operator called, "I'm detecting multiple alien vessels throughout the system." "How many?" Vex Kalar demanded. "Unknown, sir. They're using different technologies, and some of them are hiding behind asteroids and moons." The Imperial fleet moved closer to Earth, and more ships became visible. Altarian cruisers, Centauran fighters, Andromedan science vessels, and dozens of other species ships were spread throughout the solar system. "This is impossible," Vex Kalar said. "How did so many species get here without our knowledge?" Admiral Kexthara looked at the display grimly. "Sir, I think the humans called for help. On Earth, President Carter stood in the command center watching. The Imperial fleet approach. Around her, representatives from 20 different alien species worked alongside human officers. "Status report," she asked. General Hayes looked at his display. 51 Imperial ships approaching. Our combined fleet has ships from 23 different species, but most of them are not military vessels. Zephon, the Altarian worker, who had organized the resistance on his world, spoke up. "President Carter, our ships are not strong, but our people are brave. We will fight." Similar statements came from representatives of other species. The Centaurans, the Andromedans, the Keplerians, and many others had all sent whatever ships they could dot. Dr. Rodriguez looked worried. "Ma'am, even with all these ships, we're still outnumbered and outgunned. The Imperial fleet is designed for war. Most of our allies are flying cargo ships and science vessels." "Maybe," Carter replied, "but we have something the Empire doesn't." "What's that?" asked Admiral Morrison. "We have something to fight for," Captain Collins called in from his ship. "Ma'am, the Imperial fleet is getting close. What are your orders?" President Carter looked around the command center at all the alien representatives who had come to help Earth. 3 days ago, these species had been slaves of the Empire. Now they were allies of humanity. "Danny, send them our message." Collins opened all communication channels. "Imperial fleet, this is Captain Danny Collins of Earth. You came back, just like we expected. But things have changed since you left. Fleet." Admiral Vex Kalar listened to the transmission with growing anger. "You dare to speak to the Imperial fleet as equals?" "Not as equals," Collins replied. "As superiors. You see, Admiral, we kept our promise. We gave you one warning. When you ignored it, we showed you what happens when humans fight back. And now," Collins continued, "we're going to show you what happens when the galaxy fights back." The combined fleet began to move. Human ships led the attack, but they were supported by vessels from across the galaxy. The battle plan was simple. Hit the Imperial fleet from every direction at once. That Captain Nina Davis led the fighter squadrons, with pilots from 6 different species flying alongside human crews. All squadrons attack pattern Delta. Remember, we're fighting for everyone's freedom today. The small ships swarmed toward the Imperial fleet like a cloud of angry insects. But these weren't the same fighters the Empire had faced before. Human engineers had shared their technology with the other species, and alien engineers had shared theirs with humans. The result was a fighter force unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar watched the approaching ships with confusion. Where did they get so many vessels? "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "most of them appear to be converted civilian ships, cargo haulers, mining vessels, passenger transports. But they've been armed with military weapons. Cargo ships?" Vex Kalar laughed. "Fire at will. Destroy them all." The Imperial fleet opened fire, but something was wrong. The alien ships were using strange tactics, moving in patterns the Empire had never seen before. Admiral Morrison, commanding from the orbital station, coordinated the defense. "All ships, execute Plan Gamma. Show them what we learned from their first attack." The human ships began using the tactics they had developed during the first battle, but now the alien ships were helping. Altarian vessels, built for mining asteroids, proved excellent at ramming Imperial ships. Centauran science ships used their sensors to jam Imperial targeting systems. Andromedan cargo haulers, with their massive holds, carried enough missiles to supply an entire fleet. Captain Pete Washington, commanding the UES Vengeance, led a mixed squadron of human and alien ships against the Imperial left flank. "This is Washington to all ships. Remember, we're not trying to win a fair fight. were trying to win, period. The battle raged across the solar system. The Imperial ships were stronger and better armed, but the combined fleet was more flexible and creative. More importantly, they were fighting for their freedom, while the Empire was fighting to maintain their tyranny. Colonel Matt Johnson, still commanding the Luna base defenses, watched as an Imperial ship tried to break through toward Earth. All platforms, target the lead ship. Don't let them through. The defensive platforms fired everything they had. The Imperial ship's shields held, but the constant bombardment was wearing them down. "Sir," Lieutenant Ben Crawford called, "we're getting help." 3 Altarian mining ships had attached themselves to the Imperial vessel and were drilling through its hull with mining equipment. The Empire's weapons couldn't target the small ships because they were too close to their own hull. "Incredible," Johnson said. "They're using mining drills as weapons." Similar scenes were playing out across the battlefield. The alien species were using their civilian technology in military ways Empire had never imagined. Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar was getting desperate. His fleet was being damaged by enemies who shouldn't have been able to hurt them. "All ships, prepare planet-killer weapons. We'll destroy Earth and end this rebellion." But before the weapons could fire, something unexpected happened. Fleet Admiral, his communications officer, called. "We're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy." "Put them through," Vex Kalar ordered. The voice that came through belonged to Admiral Kexthara, but he wasn't speaking from his ship. He was speaking from the Imperial home world. "Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar," Kexthara said, "by order of the Imperial Council, you are to cease hostilities immediately and withdraw your fleet." "What?" Vex Kalar couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Admiral, we're in the middle of a battle." "The battle is over," Kexthara replied. "While you were fighting at Earth, rebellions broke out on 17 Imperial worlds. The slave species across the galaxy have risen up, inspired by the humans' resistance." Vex Kalar looked at his tactical display. His fleet was being slowly beaten by converted cargo ships and mining vessels, while the Empire was falling apart. "The Council has voted," Kexthara continued. "The Empire will begin negotiations for a peace treaty. The age of conquest is over." President Carter's voice came over all frequencies. "Fleet Admiral Vex Kalar, we told you we would give you one warning. We told you to leave. You should have listened." The Imperial fleet began to withdraw, their ships damaged and their crews demoralized. As they left the combined fleet of free, worlds watched them go. "This is Admiral Morrison to all ships," Kate called. "Maintain formation until they're gone. Make sure they keep leaving." As the last Imperial ship disappeared into space, celebrations broke out across the solar system. Ships from 23 different worlds had worked together to defeat the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez analyzed the battle data from her laboratory. "Amy to command, this is incredible. We didn't just win a battle, we started a revolution." She was right. Across the galaxy, the Empire's slave worlds were declaring independence. The Zephyrian Empire, which had controlled the galaxy for nearly a century, was collapsing. 6 months later, President Carter stood in the newly built Freedom Station, orbiting Earth. Representatives from hundreds of worlds had come to sign the treaty that would end the Empire and establish the Free Worlds Alliance. Admiral Morrison, now promoted to Alliance Commander, stood beside her. "Ma'am, the last Imperial Stronghold has agreed to the terms. The war is officially over." Carter looked out the window at the ships from dozens of species, all flying together **.